Welcome to our drive-in theater. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you, one that will provide several hours of pleasurable relaxation and diversion for you and your family. Did you fail to dress up for tonight's show? No tie, an old shirt and slacks, a house dress? Well, don't give it a thought. We're glad you came as you are.
It's Driveway Drive-In with your hosts, Adam and Paul. Welcome to the Monster Home.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Hi, and welcome to Driveway Drive-In. I'm a host, Paul,
I'm also a host. I'm Adam.
and we are going to do something special for the October Halloween season.
We're shaking it up a little bit here.
Yep. Rather than reviewing movies, I thought this would be a perfect time to discuss. As you can tell from our episodes, we are big horror movie fans. And
Spoiler alert, we like horror movies.
yeah, in case you didn't know. So one of the things is Adam and I have been watching movies together for years, and the whole concept of Driveway Drive-In was basically going in my backyard, setting up a projector, having a few adult beverages, and picking a double feature to watch. And we would just sometimes we would do a thing to keep it interesting where Adam would pick the first movie or I would pick the first movie, and then I had to pick something to follow up with it. And we called this process the cultural exchange.
Yeah.
And
Generally, it was a movie. They were movies. A lot of the times that maybe one or the other of us we weren't all that familiar with, or maybe one or the other of us saw the movie for the first time a long time ago and had a bad taste in our mouth about that movie, and then we kind of like talk each other into watching it again.
Yeah, and you get a different perspective of it when you have somebody that's a fan of one movie and may not have seen something, or because there were some movies that Adam brought over that I had actually never watched before, or that I wasn't even there were movies that I could have told you before we watched them together that I would just straight up hate.
Right. And that's why I'm actually kind of excited to do this show, because if you've listened to our podcast thus far, you'd probably think, well, these guys, are simpatico with like every movie across the board. And that couldn't be furthest from the truth.
Yeah.
We have some very divisive opinions about certain horror movies. And actually some very popular horror movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Very. Yeah. I tend to like a lot more paranormal stuff. Adam, what would you say you like that I'm not that big into? Probably vampires.
Yeah, you detest vampires.
Yeah, I apparently just
they just rub you the wrong way. Completely.
They do.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head with me. How do I just ghost story movies for the most part just don't do it for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I look forward to becoming a ghost. Like one day when I'm dead, I'm going to be a prankster ghost. If I can figure out how to do it, I would love.
If I had to defend my position, I don't even know if I could articulate it. I think a lot of those movies kind of they kind of like meander sometimes, and there's always a mystery element. I think the majority of the most well-regarded ghost movies are mysteries.
Yeah, there
lot
is
of
a
them are
mystery
mysteries.
aspect, and I love
And maybe
mysteries.
that's just, maybe that's just something that I, for whatever reason, it just doesn't grab me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that's fair enough. I mean, I think if you take out vampires and ghosts, you take out a lot of horror movies.
You really do.
But yeah, like I was like Team Werewolf. I want to see people ripped apart. I don't want to
Yeah.
see like a little love bite.
Yeah, I got you.
But whatever. But I surprisingly on my cultural exchange, I do have a vampire movie on my list.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that.
Yeah. So the way we decided to do this was because October is 31 days long, we wanted to pick something that was a little bit. I made a list and I sent it to Adam of like 15 movies I like to watch around Halloween. And Adam sent me a list of 15 movies that he likes to watch around Halloween. And both of us were cursing each other for a couple days, saying, "Why would you give me that title?" But whatever.
And some of these, I'm just like scratching my head, like, what do I pair with that? Like, that's it's just, it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it isn't. And
I mean, keep in mind that the gist here is you're trying to make a double feature out of these movies.
yeah,
Like, that's basically the goal of the episode. I'm going to send him a movie. He's going to send me a movie. And then we have to somehow piece together a cohesive double feature and a theme. For the two movies together. And, it's not, it's easier said than done, let me tell you, with some
it
of these.
is, especially when you're like trying to be sensitive about movies that that the other person doesn't like.
Right.
And, it's like, well, what would make the evening more enjoyable for yourself? If you had to watch something that you don't like or you're not that familiar with. And so
you're not going to compare any of my films with like the Garbage Pail Kids movie or like Mac and Me. You're not going to say that one of my movies is on par with that.
No, because their Mac and Me is definitely better. No, I'm kidding. No, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. I think it's fun to do. I mean, when you've been friends as long as me and Adam have, it's kind of fun to surprise each other. And hopefully Adam will have some good picks for my masterful list.
Yeah, knock on wood. Let's see how I did.
I will, and I would love to know whose list do you like better.
Oh man, here it's our first mano y mano question to the fans.
Yeah, and
are you a Paul guy or are you an Adam guy?
Yeah,
Team Adam or Team Paul?
Yeah,
this is going to put the Edward and what was the other guy's name? Team Edward and Team
Shirtless Wolf guy.
It's going to put that debate to shame.
Yeah. By the way, I'm the shirtless.
Yeah, I was going to. I can be the shirtless podcast guy. Guess you guys can vote on that too.
Right? Okay, so I think we've done a lot. Adam, I'm going to have you give me your first movie, and then we'll pull up a clip for it.
All right. And before we get into this, I just want to tell you, there's this rogue spider that's like crawling around. Like, I don't see him right now, but if you hear me shriek like during the podcast, nobody like,
it's a common
nobody
house
like
spider.
ran up to me and grabbed my butt or anything. It's just this spider's pretty big, and I don't know where it is right now. So you'll just have to.
It's a common house spider.
Excuse any.
And I have a no kill policy when it comes to spiders.
Noises that I might make. Anyway, okay.
It's the first movie, Arachnophobia.
Yeah, it should be. This thing's making a hive in my leg or something right now. All right, so we're going with my first movie.
Yeah, your first one.
All right, first one. And a lot of these, how I pick my movies most of these are films that I save for October. I have a set list that I guess I guess that's essentially what we both did. But most of these movies are movies that I will only watch around this time of year, just because I kind of feel like I'm cheating on myself if I don't. And the first movie on my list is Night of the Living Dead, 68.
Night of the Living Dead, George Romero.
Yes.
Remember
One of my favorite movies.
It's one of my favorites too. I think one of the coolest things we ever did was when we went to the cemetery and watched it. The cemetery scene
in Evans City.
In Evans City.
Yeah.
And we watched it on my phone, which is something that like I impressed like my teenage
I had goosebumps. Like the arms on the hairs on my arms were sticking up. We were actually watching the scene with Johnny and Barbara, basically a foot away from the tombstone where they had the scene. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was. It was really. That's a good clip to pull up. So, why don't we take a little bit of a break? I'm going to pull up the classic opening scene of Night of the Living Dead. Bear with me one moment.
I wonder what happened to the one from last year. Each year we spend good money on these things. We come out here and the one from last year's gone.
Well, the flowers die, and the caretaker or somebody takes them away.
Yeah, a little spit and polish. You can clean this up. Sell it next year. Wonder how many times we bought the same one. Hey, come on, Barb. Church was this morning, huh? Hey, I mean praying's for church, huh? Come on.
I haven't seen you in church lately.
Well, there's not much sense in my going to church. Do you remember one time when we were small, we were out here? It was from right over there. I jumped out at you from behind the tree, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist at me, and he said, "Boy, you be damned to hell." Remember that? Right over there. Well, you used to really be scared here.
Johnny.
You're still afraid.
Stop it now. I mean it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
That's clearly one of the most iconic scenes, I would say, for any movie, really.
Yeah, I think so.
And
they're coming to get you, Barbara. I mean,
absolutely. And I just, it's one of those scenes that's great. Now, I picked for this one, and I honestly, this was the easiest one for me to pair with because I had a really good double feature of taping Night of the Living Dead off TV, and the movie that followed it was like a perfect double feature for me. And they're kind of different, but they're kind of the same. And mine is going to be The Carnival of Souls.
Okay.
So
that's not as I was not expecting that.
Yeah. The Carnival of Souls is like, it was on the VHS that I had as like the movie that followed Night of the Living Dead. So I always watched those movies back to back.
Yeah.
And they went so well together.
Sure.
They're both black and white.
Right.
You have the score, you have a creepy atmosphere, a sense of persecution. You had, a lot of really
Well, the ghosts in Carnival of Souls, I mean, remind me of Romero zombies, like straight off the bat.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they look very similar.
The protagonist in that film has some Barbara-like traits as well.
Absolutely.
She's basically a survivor. Trying to get through the nightmarish circumstances that are put in front of her. That's a good one. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. The easy route definitely would have just been going with another Romero film or another zombie film, but I like that. I think atmospherically, they're very similar.
They are very similar, and I actually kind of want to do that soon.
I almost put Carnival of Souls on my list.
Yeah,
on my straight list.
Yeah.
That I was going to send to you, and then I for whatever reason I didn't. I think I swapped it with another movie, but that's a good. So far, no controversy. I'm digging your pick.
Okay, all right, all right. So for my first pick, I am going to pick one of the most atmospheric movies, starring Christopher Lee, and this movie oozes with atmosphere, and that's a big factor in my Halloween watching, my Halloween everything. And my first pick is going to be Horror Hotel, also known as City of the Dead.
Nice.
This movie takes place in Massachusetts. It's about witchcraft, and I only watch witch movies.
Mm-hmm. In October. Yeah, me too.
And I love this movie so much. It's the story of a person who's in a witch class, or a class about witchcraft, taught by Christopher Lee, and goes to a small Massachusetts town. That's very dated. It's not modern at all. And the story takes place in the 1960s. She checks in and is part of a ritual.
Was this based on a Lovecraft?
No, but it's got a Lovecraft feel to it.
It has such a Lovecraft feel to it. I watched it for the first time with you in your driveway of your old house.
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever saw it.
Yeah, and the scene with the climax is fantastic with the witch cult.
Yeah,
it's just it's such a good Halloween movie. I can't recommend it enough.
I'm gonna try to drink one beer per movie. Think I can do it?
No,
I don't either.
We don't have that many beers.
We'll give it a shot. I brought 15 cans.
Well, 60.
Yeah, I guess 60. Yeah, that's a good pick. I like that one. I actually have two movies that I lined up with this one, and I'm gonna debate with myself which one I actually put in with the double feature. Witch movies aren't plentiful.
There are, and good witch movies are
movies are not plentiful. So you really have to look hard. So I was kind of thinking that aspect, and I thought maybe, I don't know, there's kind of a detective story in with this, and trying to piece together what I could put, what would be an acceptable double feature with this movie. So the first one I thought of was Witchfinder General.
That's a great one.
I just thought that, you could tonally wise, they're complete opposites.
They are.
One's more of a historical, nonfiction film almost.
Yeah, it's about a real person.
And played by Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Who's basically a witch hunter, the most famous witch hunter in England.
Yeah, and that's probably my favorite role of his. It's not my favorite movie of his.
There's nothing supernatural about that film whatsoever, which is why it's so horrific. It's about a real person.
Yeah, and so you have I kind of like that. It's kind of, you have the witches are the existential threat, and then you have the people, the witch hunters are the existential threat in Witchfinder General. That's
Right.
kind of a fun.
I dig it.
I dig that a lot.
But then my mind started to wander, as it tends to do, right?
Yeah.
And I don't get a lot of time to talk about this movie. It's not all that well regarded, but I think it's kind of grown on me and you a little bit like a fungus over the years. Lords of Salem?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, it's a night. It's one of those movies that's kind of like, it has no coherent plot to it. It's not very coherent.
No.
But the imagery is fantastic.
It is.
Some of the shots in that, you could just put as like a wallpaper on your computer or something like that. I think I did that with a couple of the shots, some of the scenes in that movie. I don't know. It's a respectful effort. I mean,
it is. I mean,
how about the song that plays on the record player?
Oh, I know. I put that on like a road
if you guys
trip
don't know what
playlist.
this is about, it's about a DJ who gets this record in the mail. You should get it in the mail.
Yeah.
And it's it's unmarked, and it's from the Lords of Salem. And she plays it on her radio station, and it's like the most evil, like gut-wrenching sounds you've like ever heard. It's if you're going to a Halloween party this year and you hear that on the playlist at the party, you're at a good Halloween party.
Yeah.
And you'll know it's instantly recognizable. It's Rob Zombie.
Yeah, it's Rob Zombie and the guitarist for Marilyn Manson that did that.
But
did the music.
It's just it's so atmospheric.
It is.
So between the two of them, I'm like kind of juggling here. I'm going to go with Lords of Salem just because has a supernatural element, just like Horror Hotel.
It does.
And so as much as I would venture to say that Witchfinder General is the better film. But that's not what we're doing here.
No,
I'm trying to make the most cohesive double feature that I can, and I'm going to do Lords of Salem with Horror Hotel. That's what I'm going to say.
That's actually not bad. I don't hate that at all. No.
Good. I feel vindicated. Still looking for that freaking spider. You up?
I'm up. No. I just did mine.
I'm up. All right. Well, this should be fun to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So, one of my favorite movies is Fright Night. And if you haven't seen that movie, I'm sure, if you're listening to this podcast, probably you're very familiar with it. But a normal teen in the 80s trying to get laid who happens to look out his window during the act and he sees his new vampire neighbor move in. And it all kind of spirals down from there when the vampire notices that he notices, It's kind of like this big cat and mouse game between the teenager and the vampire. And, Charlie Brewster is the teen, and he gets the aid of Peter Vincent, who is a horror host. Peter Vincent is essentially supposed to be a combination of Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. That's where they got the name, and they have to go after the vampire. And it's one of my favorite movies. And Paul looks like he just bit into a lemon as I'm talking about this movie, because Paul does not like Fright Night. He hates it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I will say this about the movie. Jerry Dandridge is one of the greatest vampires ever on cinema. Peter Vincent is a great character. Where the movie falls apart is the young protagonist and antagonist.
You forgot to put "in my opinion" before that. In my opinion, where it falls apart.
Is that an opinion or is that a fact? I don't know. I just found that the characters were so unlikable.
You're annoyed by them.
I was annoyed by them, like all of them.
Yeah.
And so it's not one of my favorite movies.
Gotcha.
But, I actually have a vampire movie that might be one of my absolute favorite movies, vampire movies, for the follow-up on this, for Vampire Night.
Just before you get into before you all start hating on Paul for hating Friday Night, let me tell you the movie that I hate that isn't on either of our lists. That you're gonna condemn me for. I can't stand Phantasm. I hate Phantasm, and you guys are gonna. So I just want to even it up. I don't want everyone going against you. When there is a movie that is beloved by all that I can't stand, and it's Phantasm. But anyway, continue.
I almost put it on my list, and
that would have been fun.
I said my list first.
Yeah, we got to do that as a straight review show one day. Just Phantasm and Fright Night. Like a straight review show.
Yeah, like called I Hate You.
Yeah. It'll be like the Eminem diss scene at the end of 8 Mile.
Yeah, pretty much. I love Phantasm. I'm not a Fright Night fan.
You haven't seen that spider anywhere, have you?
No, it's definitely not on your face.
I won't say that.
All right. So, I'm going to do one. And one of the things about Fright Night that I think was really cool and a really good idea was the presence of movies in, or like movie rules in in the vampire movie and using that.
Okay.
So my pick.
Before you go, you said movie roles. I thought you were going Scream. I thought you were going to say Scream.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
I thought you were going Scream. When you say movie roles, I instantly went with Scream.
Yeah.
But okay, that's not your pick. Continue.
No, it's not. It's a vampire movie.
Vampire roles.
And it is one of my absolute favorite vampire movies. It's Shadow of the Vampire.
Wow. Okay.
With John Malkovich and Willem Dafoe playing Max Schreck.
I definitely thought you were going to have that movie on your list to compare with mine. I thought it was going to be another movie later down.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's
no. I thought about Fright Night, and I thought about like what I liked about the movie. Because even if I don't like a movie, I can find something I like about it,
right,
to like justify watching it, I guess. So
there's another movie on my list that I think would be better suited for that. So I'm going to be very interested to see what you have for that one.
Yeah. But I decided to go with something else about that. So
all right.
But Shadow of the Vampire is a movie about the making of the 1922 movie Nosferatu, one of the earliest silent horror movies. And
I'm just going to break the silence. I have Nosferatu 22 on my list.
Yeah.
So I'm so interested. Well, I was so expecting him because I know that's like one of the only vampire movies. It's not the only vampire. He loves to hammer vampire movies.
I do.
He loves Near Dark.
Yeah.
Universal, that kind of stuff.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
I just thought that for sure he was going to save that one for Nosferatu. So that's very interesting. Let's really pay attention to what he matches up with Nosferatu.
Yeah.
That's interesting pick. Continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, but I have a reason for why I picked what I picked for Nosferatu.
I didn't mean to jump in. Tell them what Shadow of the Vampire is about.
Shadow of the Vampire is about the making of the 1922 film Nosferatu, which is a vampire movie that I happen to love.
But it's like if the actor Max Schreck was really a vampire.
Yeah.
And Max Schreck is played by William Dafoe, which like you don't even need any makeup on William Dafoe. And you just look at him. Google him right now. Go to Google Images. Put William Dafoe. You won't sleep for a week.
Yeah.
That guy is scary looking.
No, he definitely is. And
it's like when they made Spider-Man and he was Green Goblin.
Yeah.
And they put a helmet on him.
Yeah.
Dude, put some kind of green paint on his face. He's already the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
He's a terrifying man.
Yeah.
Anyway, he plays this vampire. who is in Nosferatu. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's basically about a director who is just sacrificing his actors and his cast and his crew for the sake of art. And John Malkovich plays
Murnau.
Murnau, right.
Yeah. No, it's a really, I think that would be a fun double feature to do. And, less annoying characters.
Well, the annoying characters die.
Yeah.
They don't stick around like in Fright Night.
So, with your Lords of Salem, I'm going to do another movie that's criminally underrated, in my opinion. And it's one of my favorite Halloween time stories. This movie is, again, very atmospheric.
Yeah.
It's the Hughes brothers from Hell, starring Johnny Depp. And it's about Jack the Ripper. And I think Jack the Ripper is such a great Halloween character.
It really is. I'm obsessed with Jack the Ripper.
It's such a great...
Like, if there's ever like a documentary or something like that, I mean, I'm just like... And he didn't even kill that many. Didn't he kill like 4 people?
I think...
It's like maybe 6 people?
Yeah.
Like, you'd think like he had like some kind of like Michael Myers like rampage. He didn't really kill that many people.
Well, if you go by the first Halloween movie...
Good point. But he also like taunted the police.
He did.
With like letters and whatnot.
Yeah, and he was like the first like superstar serial killer, I guess.
Yeah, right.
And
like, you ever go on Facebook, there's all these weird, like, if you belong to more than one horror group, you're gonna see like these really weird artifacts to buy, like a T-shirt with like Jeffrey Dahmer's face on it, or like a mug.
Yeah.
With like,
Charles Manson.
Like, people like worship serial killers. It's like really.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm not really a big fan.
Like, come on, man.
So,
set your priorities a little higher. Like, watch the Michael Jordan. What was it? 60 for 60.
Yeah.
Watch
the Ric Flair 30 for 30.
The heroes are out there. You just have to look for them.
Yeah.
Your heroes don't have to be serial killers. Set your bar a little higher than that.
Oh, Lord.
But anyway, that's a good pick. It's a great pick. I mean, I just like the mythos of Jack the Ripper. Let me preface. Like, I don't like Jack the Ripper himself. Like, the mythos of Jack the Ripper is pretty cool.
It is.
The top hat and the foggy streets of London, and that's the Gothic. That's what I get from that.
Yeah, that Victorian Gothic. Oh, it's so.
I just love it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. For me, it's a really good 90s horror movie.
He's an urban legend now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not even just. He's an urban legend. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, can I go with my?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mentioned how obviously he's basically like the world's first celebrated serial killer, and how he writes letters to the cops to kind of toy with them and tease them, like, you can't catch me, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, in thinking of a movie to pair with this, at first. My first instinct was like, okay, what's another Jack the Ripper movie? But there aren't many.
There aren't many.
There really aren't. And then, one of the other great ones is Time After Time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
H.G. Wells. That's not my pick. But like H.G. Wells.
Terror was a good one. That was
is like the main
Sherlock
character,
Holmes.
and he goes back in time.
Yeah.
And Jack the Ripper follows him. So it's like H.G. Wells and Jack the Ripper in modern day, 70s San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
good movie.
It's if it's not a horror movie.
Yeah, and it's not a Halloween movie either.
So what I actually chose was 7.
Interesting.
Right. In that 7, you have a serial killer who is looking for celebrity. That is essentially, well, maybe not celebrity, but he's trying. He wants to be known, and his quote unquote work, which is his murder spree, which to him is like teaching the human populace a lesson to be well known. And he also writes letters to the police and, says things that you can't catch me. He calls Detective Somerset and, he's very much antagonistic towards, the detectives that are searching for him.
No, that's a really good pick. It's both from the 90s. Both have a little bit of a problem with the female lead in it, if you ask me.
So the double feature theme would be serial killer detective.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Or serial killer celebrity, I think is good.
And the theme, I'm sorry, not to backtrack, but the theme for the horror hotel and Lords of Salem would have obviously, which movie?
Which movies?
Guess I don't have to really specify that, but yeah, that was my pick. And I was kind of proud of that one.
No, that's good. Yeah. That's good.
Now, this one is going to be a hard one for you, Paul, and I'm sure this is one of the ones you were MFing me up and down.
I think this one was the one I was cursing you the most about because it's the only movie like it.
The film is a work. It's based off a Stephen King novel, Dead Zone. It stars Christopher Walken. It's basically about a teacher who survives a car accident, is in a coma for I remember, I think 2 years.
Yeah.
And when he reemerges, he has psychic ability. He can see into the future, which he ends up helping the local police force with a serial killer issue. And then later, there's also a political. There's a man who is aspiring to become president of the United States, and he foresees that he's going to basically.
He's a fictional man.
He's a fictional man, not an actual man. But he actually sees that he's going to cause global nuclear war. So he has to try to stop that. So it's a difficult film to kind of pair against. So I'll be interested to see what your double feature film would be.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to do a movie that I don't even think you've ever seen for this. And
Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol.
Hell no.
Oh.
No, I decided.
I was going to say I've seen that one.
No, we know you've seen Police Citizens on Patrol. We've covered that on previous episodes.
Officer Mooney is basically what I strive to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Officer Mooney. No. So for my pick my theme is premonitions of death.
Okay.
And I picked one of my favorite films that I'm 99% sure you've never seen, despite me telling you to watch it over and over and over again. I picked Deep Red, Dario Argento.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. The concept of Deep Red is the psychic who is speaking at a conference, realizes that someone in the crowd is a murderer, and she partners with another guy to figure out who the murderer is. And that's very similar to the serial killer plot in the Dead Zone.
Yeah, it sounds like a good match.
Yeah, so...
I'm not going to argue with you because I'm going to gloss over the fact that I haven't seen it. Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed by that, so I'm not going to put up a fight, Paul.
Yeah, it's my favorite Argento film, and
what?
No, it.
When did that happen?
Like 3 years ago, I watched them both.
Where'd Suspiria go?
Number 2.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, that's momentous.
Yeah.
It's like if they dropped George Washington's head off of Mount Rushmore and put it with Mike's. He is on Mount Rushmore, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Thank God. The way you were looking at me, made me second guess myself.
I was just kind of concerned by who you were going to put.
Oh,
No, Deep Red is is my pick, but we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. It's a fantastic Giallo film if you're into the Giallo
Giallo.
thing. And
We all have room for Jello.
it is a movie that follows the psychic serial killer aspect.
It sounds like a good match.
Yeah.
Because Dead Zone isn't like a straight horror film. Like Giallo, like they're not straight horror movies. Really.
They're
Like,
mystery.
they have horror aspects to them, but they're not like, you know what I mean? Like they're not.
Well, they're very violent mysteries, is what they are.
But they're mood over anything.
Yeah.
From the ones that I've seen,
Yeah.
You're the expert, not me. And that's a good pairing because Dead Zone does have like a very kind of like a lonely, like feel to it. Like
Yeah.
just a. But anyway, yeah, I think that's a good pick. When you're drinking beer, sometimes words don't come to you.
Yeah.
But Dead Zone has a lonely, melancholy feel to it, which I think kind of matches some Giallo films.
Yeah. And Deep Red is probably not only my favorite Argento film, but it's probably the best Giallo film, if you ask me, personally. No one is, but it's just like,
oh, what's the best Giallo film? Someone did. Nice.
All right. So I think it's about time to pull up a clip. And I am going to it's my turn.
Yeah.
So my movie is going to be Alone in the Dark.
82?
82.
All right.
It's my favorite slasher film of all time.
That's big.
It is like number one. And this is my favorite scene, and quite possibly ends with my favorite horror movie quote that I use on the daily basis. I even have a little sign of it at my desk when I was in the office. So let me go ahead and pull up the scene real quick. This is a psychologist walking with one of the patients. The patient is played by Jack Palance. He's known as the General. And we'll be right back, and we'll talk about this one.
Frank? Frank, do you have a minute?
I have years, Doctor.
You were pretty close to Harry Merton, weren't you?
Why?
Well, Harry said you were. Have you been in contact with him at all since he left?
Why should I be?
Well, if you're friends, you want to stay in touch.
If we were friends, I suppose we might.
You know where he is, though.
Someplace in Philadelphia. Look. I find this line of interrogation fairly meaningless. What is your point?
There's no point. Just wanted to touch base, that's all.
You know, you shouldn't take Ray Curtis too seriously, Doctor. He's not very reliable.
Well, why do you say that?
He's too high-strung. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad person. That's just his trip, like Bane says. Fatty's trip is to rape little girls. A preacher likes to set fire to churches. That's his trip. Unfortunately, he does it when there are people inside. I'm here because I enjoy the social life. There are no crazy people, Doctor. We're all just on vacation.
So yeah, there are no crazy people. We're just on vacation is probably my favorite line in a horror movie ever. And
that's pretty classic.
It is. And in this scene, it is basically about the plot of a group of highly dangerous psychopaths get a new doctor, and the new doctor is the one interviewing Jack Palance. And they believe that the new doctor has killed their old doctor, who was their old psychiatrist who they loved, who was played by none other than Donald Pleasance.
Yep.
And Donald Pleasance is kind of the anti-Loomis in this one.
He definitely is.
And he likes to get high at work. And he's like way out there.
Yeah.
But the patients escape, and they start killing their way to get to the doctor and his family to get their revenge for supposedly killing their favorite doctor.
Yeah.
And it's a really great film. And
it's a real lesser known film. Like, you showed it to me once last year, and I loved it. It's just funny that it doesn't have more notoriety.
Yeah, and
especially considering the cast.
Yeah,
Jack Palance, and then you have
Martin Landau.
Martin Landau and Donald Pleasance. I mean,
yeah,
they're the the killers that flee the insane asylum.
Yeah, and I can't sing this movie's praises high enough. It's just a really good slasher film that's filled with a lot of tension, and it's filled with some memorable characters, some genuinely humorous parts, some generally horrific parts. It's just an all-around really well-balanced slasher film.
Yeah.
And it's number one on my list.
It's your number one slasher film.
Yeah, number one slasher film. And, one day we'll do a top 5 slasher films, and I will give you the rest.
Nice. When I say the name Martin Landau, what movie do you want to watch instantly?
Alone in the Dark.
Other than that?
I would say probably Ed Wood.
Yeah, that's the answer. That's not what I'm pairing with. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Martin Landau, man. I just want to put Ed Wood in.
And I do like to watch Ed Wood around October.
Ed Wood is the best Tim Burton movie.
It really is.
The best Tim Burton movie.
It's hands down. It's fantastic. Yeah. We should do that as an episode one day. I would love to do that.
Me too. Okay, so I'm trying to think of a double feature for this one. I tried to get a few curveball picks, something off the cuff, but when something is so blatantly obvious, sometimes it's impossible to do that. This is a movie about insane patients in an insane asylum, starring Donald Pleasance, that escape to kill people. So, it almost just... You got to pair it with Halloween, right?
Yeah.
How do you not pair it with Halloween? And again, I'm not the most clever individual. Although, some of these...
I'm just glad you didn't pick Halloween 4. No.
I love Halloween 4. Halloween 4 is the best.
See, that's one of those things that we disagree on.
But no, you gotta pick Halloween. Donald Pleasance. It's not just that Donald Pleasance is in the film, but it's about Halloween is obviously about an escaped mental patient that turns into like one of the most popular slashers of all time. So it's like it's too comfortable of a fit.
Yeah.
To not match them together. Like how, and you even said during your review, he's the anti-Loomis.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, how do you not put these two films together? So it's got to be Alone in the Dark, and it's got to be Halloween. And honestly, that
sounds like a great evening to me.
Of a Halloween double feature. If those two films right there.
Yeah, that is a great double feature.
Yeah.
And I might do that this week after work one day.
Yeah.
Because I love I love Halloween so much, and I love Alone in the Dark so much, and
I kind of think that pick is gonna get me like tomatoes tossed at me, because it's like I took the low hanging fruit. You know,
sometimes you have to.
But like,
and I know like this movie isn't one that you particularly, you know, have like a fondness for. Like,
I don't, but it's not that I don't like it either.
It's not because
my exposure to it was very limited.
Yeah,
until
like,
you showed it to me.
Like that was like one of those movies that just really surprised me.
Yeah,
I took it home, and when I was working in the video store, and I put it on, and I said, "This was one of the greatest slasher films I've ever seen," and immediately went to my employee pick section, and I told everybody to watch this movie, and everyone stared at me and said, "Jack Palance from City Slickers?" Right. And I said, "Yeah, right. Yeah. No, Jack Palance from City Slickers 2, The Legends of Curly's Gold."
Who did they think he... Like, that was his first movie he was ever in, right?
Yeah. And
he stumbled out of his toll booth to the audition for City Slickers. Yeah. No, man. He had an entire career.
He did, and it was filled with horror movies. I mean, yeah.
His Dracula is pretty great.
His Dracula, surprisingly, is pretty good. I thought it was going to be weird. And I also really like Western movies. And, you know, Shane obviously is probably his most famous role. And, you know, Pick Up the Gun is one of the most classic, iconic Western scenes. So he's got like this really intimidating presence. But yeah, Halloween, I have no problems with that. What's Halloween about?
Must we?
I don't think anyone knows what that movie is.
I think we can segue into the next.
Okay, we can. All right, that would be yours.
All right. Okay. And up next is, all right, this is legitimately a movie that I only watch in October. I don't even think about this movie until October. And I don't even necessarily think it takes place in fall, but whenever I think of corn, it just goes to like fall and, you know, all that. And so Children of the Corn is my next film for Halloween viewing. And that is also a movie based on a Stephen King short story, and it's basically about this Midwestern town where the children of the town, you know, become basically religious zealots and decide that all of the adults need to die. So they murder their parents. They murder every adult in the town. So it's just children living in this town. And then, you know, some out-of-towners make their way in, and it's just trying to survive a hellish night of these kids coming after you. And there is also a supernatural aspect. You know, I don't even know if I read the short story, so I don't know if they just did it for the movie. But there's the that walks among the rows. Yeah. That you don't know if that's supposed to be the devil or something else, but that's the deity that these kids you know, worship or whatever.
Right. Children of the Corn isn't one of my favorite movies, but
it's not necessarily one of mine either, but I do like to watch it in Halloween time.
Yeah. I can tell you I probably haven't seen it in like 20 years.
Sometimes premise goes a long way with me, especially in Halloween time.
Yeah, and it's got a good atmosphere. I wouldn't mind revisiting it, you know. But yeah, Children of the Corn is you know, a pretty interesting movie, and pretty good. I went for the low-hanging fruit on this one and picked another Stephen King movie to match this with. I don't watch a lot of killer kids movies, and so there were a few came to mind. but I just didn't feel like they kind of fit what I would go for with this one. So I picked for my follow-up a vampire movie, and I
What?
did
What?
Salem's Lot.
First of all, I love it. Second of all, wow.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's a really good.
Salem's Lot to me feels like Stephen King doing an autumn themed mosaic. It feels like it's a movie that takes place in a town that's out of time.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the Stephen King stories, and I really like Salem's Lot a lot. I recently, well, not recently, I guess 2 years ago isn't that recent, but I went through this phase where I was turning color movies to black and white, and one of the first ones I did was Salem's Lot, which I thought would be better as a black and white movie, and I enjoy really watching it that way. I think it's scary. I think of like the window scene with the little boy tapping on the window, asking him to be let in, is one of the scariest scenes. And when I thought of like Killer Kids and Stephen King, I thought of that little kid in that movie. So that's what I picked for my pairing for a Stephen King night for Children of the Corn.
I like it. I like it more so because if you watch both of them, they're both filmed like made for TV.
Yeah.
Even though Children of the Corn was theatrical release,
it has a made for TV.
It has a made for TV feel. So yeah. I kind of dig that, and I also kind of dig that they're kind of like lesser known stories. Like they're not
they're not like the big ones.
The big ones that King is known for. Like I for sure thought you were gonna go when you said low hanging fruit. I thought you were gonna go like Pet Sematary with Gage, the killer kid, or Village of the Damned, but I would not be opposed to watching those two back to back, so I can't give you too many negative points for that one.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I've actually never seen Pet Sematary, so, and I probably won't watch it. I think
you'll love it. No, you won't.
No. I don't do well in movies with like little kids getting killed. It just really upsets me. So like some people get upset about dogs getting killed in movies. For me, it's little kids. And there's a few exceptions, but not very.
For me, I hate when grass gets trampled on in movies.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
How does that help with your like love of sports movies?
Don't AstroTurf, man.
AstroTurf saves grass lives.
Yeah, man. Anyway, let's continue. Man, that was a good pick. That was definitely not expected.
No, and
but I dig it. I like it.
Like honestly, I didn't know like if Children of the Corn was esteemed in your opinion.
No, it's definitely not esteemed. It's definitely something. Honestly, I'd love to see remade. Yeah,
I think it would be okay to be remade.
No, it's not esteemed at all. I think it's creepy. I think it's a creepy movie.
Yeah.
And, like I said, like a lot of the motifs in the movie, like with corn in the Midwest, just, to me, scream out Halloween.
Yeah, and I like the idea of, like the whole faith being tested.
And then, like, part of the thing with it being a Halloween movie, too, is, like, like kids. Like, Halloween... Well, Halloween is more of an adult holiday now, but it started with kids.
No, definitely.
And it's, kids trick-or-treating and everything. So it's just kind of like, all right, the kids rise up and, come at you. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Why not? All right. So that was your pick. We did mine. So right now I'm doing a Halloween movie. It takes place in a high school, and it is time for me to get to be shirtless werewolf. There's no shirtless werewolves in this one, though, which could be unfortunate, I guess.
Man, we're going to lose fans.
Yeah.
You better just take that shirt off.
Well, it would be better if it was in this movie. I can tell you that. No, the movie is Ginger Snaps.
Uh-huh.
And
what's Ginger Snaps about?
Ginger Snaps is a Canadian werewolf movie. It takes place during Halloween, with the climax being a Halloween party, about a girl that gets attacked by a werewolf. Her sister tries to help cure her with a popular drug dealer at the school.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorite werewolf movies, top 5. And it's Halloween themed. It's grisly in parts. It's funny. It's got like a lot of good humor in it, and a decent werewolf monster in it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great movie. When I was looking for a movie to pair with this, there's a lot in this movie. She's turning into a werewolf, but it's kind of it parallels her becoming a woman.
Yeah.
A lot of it is, direct correlations with hormonal changes and what have you. I mean, that's basically what they're playing up.
Yeah, and like the whole plot is centered around.
Right. So originally, when I was thinking of a movie to pair with this isn't what I'm going with, but I was going to go with Bad Moon. Because it's a werewolf movie, it's not very well known. It's basically the werewolf versus the dog movie.
Yeah.
If you can get past the Cinemax beginning, it's not that bad of a movie. But then I kind of felt like I was shortchanging Ginger Snaps a little bit. Because Ginger Snaps is not just your run-of-the-mill werewolf movie. If anything, it really is about, the changes of, the woman into, the girl to a woman, which is synonymous to the girl into the werewolf. So the film that I chose to go with it had a similar, it's not a werewolf movie, but it's a similar, her powers represent the changes going on inside of her. And the movie that I chose was Firestarter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I actually like that, but wow.
And it would have been easy to just latch it on to another werewolf movie that not a lot of people have heard about. But at the end, I really thought that it was like her change from girl to woman and attributing in these powers that she gets was really the crux of the movie. And that's
I haven't seen Firestarter in forever.
Dude, Firestarter, I haven't seen in a really long time either. And from what I remember, it's not that great, but the end makes up for it. When Drew Barrymore is finally unleashed and she's basically Dark Phoenix from the X-Men, and she's just blowing everything up, like everything in her mind. And I'm sorry, Firestarter, for those of you that don't know it, it's also based on a Stephen King book about a girl who has the power to basically ignite fires with her mind. And by the end of the book, she can just, she's basically a walking time bomb. And anyway, I thought that would be an interesting pairing with Ginger Snaps.
Yeah, good one. No, I can deal with that. That's pretty fun. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a really.
It's either that or just latch on to another werewolf movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is the low hanging fruit. That's just like, there's so much going on in Ginger Snaps that isn't even about being a werewolf. Yeah. I kind of think Firestarter kind of matches up with it a little bit better than like American Werewolf in London or Bad Moon or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's a really good coming of age story.
Yeah, and that's essentially what Firestarter is.
Yeah.
So
interesting. No, not a bad pick at all.
You're up?
No, I'm not. You're up.
Oh, I'm sorry. And for me, next on my list, oh man, I mean, like, you can't get any more 80s than this movie. The height of the little monster craze, which is like one of my favorite fads ever.
Yeah.
It wasn't the one that started it. Gremlins is the one that started it. But this is probably one of the most well-received knockoffs. Goalies.
Yeah.
You know, goalies, which are basically like, you know, I referenced it earlier. It was basically like Garbage Pail Kids, you know, in demon form. These like gross little monsters that were summoned from the depths of hell.
No. I actually watched Ghoulies over the summer. It's a really fun movie. Charles Band directed it.
There's not enough goalies in the first one. That was always my you know, like they really save them, you know, till the end. I wish you had more goalies, but
no, they're fine. They're a little bit mischievous. They're a good Halloween. I'm fine with that.
Well, that was always on USA.
It
Late
was
night on USA. It scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah, I
couldn't watch it.
I'm a big fan of it.
Yep.
And for mine is Low Hanging Fruit, the one of the greatest debates of any 80s horror movie fans. It's Ghoulies versus Critters.
It's a good one. It's a good debate.
And Critters is a story of little aliens that come, and they're little eating machines. And they terrorize a farmer and his family. And I love Critters. I love Ghoulies. I've watched these two movies back to back.
Yeah.
Many, many times.
I'm a little surprised. Like that's a good pick. Don't get me wrong. I always have a difficult time putting extraterrestrials, aliens, like in with my Halloween viewing.
Yeah, well, I view them more as monsters.
They are. I mean, like, okay. Like, that's how they got here to Earth. They're basically just little rodents anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess I can give you a pass there.
Yeah, they're cute. They're fun. They're pretty great. I mean, I was going to pick one.
The bounty hunters and the critters are, like, my favorite part.
Yeah.
Like, the guys that come from space and they're looking for the critters, they don't have faces. They're just, like, blob faces.
Yeah. And another parallel to this is that I actually like Ghoulies 2 and Critters 2 better than the originals.
I'll have to rewatch them. I don't know.
Ghoulies 2 and Critters 2. I mean, Critters 2 are like the big ball of critter death.
Yeah, that's the best.
And that happens in 2. And Ghoulies 2, like you said, they had more of a budget and they were able to be more in the movie.
Right.
And get into more trouble.
It made a big difference.
But yeah, the Ghoulies versus Critters, we have the theme is tiny monsters.
So like I'm sitting there complaining, but like there's no day I would ever like give anyone crap for suggesting, hey, want to come over and watch Ghoulies and Critters? Like, yeah, I'm coming. I'll bring the pizza. I'll bring the pie. I'll bring the 6-pack. I'm there, man. Make room for me on the couch. I'm staying over.
Yeah. And this is like a perfect pizza and beer, or if you're under the age of 21, pizza and pop, like double feature. It's a great, sleep overnight.
You're under age 21. What are you doing? Listen, go to bed. Go study.
Well, they can listen whenever they want. It's listen on demand.
Right. You better get straight A's.
Yep.
Come after you.
or at least watch these. Watch.
I know where
movies
you are.
Where we recommend.
What's the next one?
All right, so you did Ghoulies, and then I did that. Mine is going to be another girl power movie. It is a retelling of a classic monster tale.
I love it. It's going to be a good one.
Probably my favorite classic monster tale, which is Frankenstein.
Yep.
And this movie is called May, from the year 2000. May is a story about a socially awkward girl who's obsessed with dolls and decides to start making her perfect friend and lover with the body parts that she likes out of people that she doesn't like.
Great movie.
It is takes place on Halloween.
Next beer cup.
And really a good, it's a good Halloween movie. It's a good movie altogether. I can't recommend it enough.
It's one of my favorite modern movies that I've seen in like the last 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
It takes you to so many different places. Like you don't, where it ends up, you can't, like, it's not predictable. Let's just put it that way. And May is so likable. Like she's so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I mean, she's just trying to connect with somebody.
Yeah, she's just a very lonely girl.
But she's a complete psychopath.
But she's a complete psycho. And, you know.
Did a few of those.
Yeah. How
about you?
Yeah. There is a roster. A lot of them look like that,
do a podcast about that?
Yeah, no. No, I don't.
But, you know, she's got that very vulnerable exterior, but inside. Anyway, so when she doesn't get to the connection that she's seeking, ultimately, she kills the people that reject her and puts, like, there's the guy that she likes his arms, so he takes his arms, and there's the girl that she likes her legs, and she like constructs this like makeshift like friend, lover, whatever out of this person, which, as you can imagine, looks like a complete mess. A completely, you know, shapeless thing. And then it may or may not come to life at the end.
Yeah.
Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah.
But all right, so anyway, the low hanging fruit for this second film would have been a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
Or a zombie movie. And this is one of the ones I'm most proud of. Okay.
Oh.
Because I didn't go that way. The theme of this is unrequited love. Okay?
Ooh.
And my pick is Boxing Helena.
Interesting.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Do you know what it is? It's Julian Sands from the Warlock movie.
Yeah.
He becomes infatuated with a woman, and he's a surgeon, and she wants nothing to do with him. So instead of piecing together a friend, he takes her and removes parts. Basically, he cuts off her arms and her legs, sticks her in a box, hence Boxing Helena.
Yeah.
And she lives under his bed. And it's just like, it's the exact opposite of May, where May, she was like putting together somebody to love. This one's taking somebody apart. And it's also very, you know, unrequited love. Like, the reason the May does it is because all these different people are rejecting her. And here it's just, you know, an obsessed person that, you know, gets his hands on his loved one and can't let her get away. So
wow,
that was my.
That sounds like a good pick.
Yeah,
I have actually never seen that, but I'll check it out.
I've seen it once. Okay, you know, I'm not like an expert on the movie, but I thought the themes were pretty good.
No, sounds good. So there, you have your Deep Red, and
Unrequited love.
Yeah, that's a theme I'm very familiar with. That is.
Oh man, that's not true.
Yeah.
We love you, Paul.
Sure.
Team Paul loves you.
Yeah.
They're gonna come after me after saying what I said about Phantasm, so you're good.
All right. This concludes part 1 of our Halloween special at Driveway Drive-In. Be sure to tune in next week for part 2.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.